Hello! this camera, isn't it? Thank you for joining us. We are live from Collider Studios for our first ever Fireside chat. My name is Kris, and I'm here with my co-host Philippa for our first ever live Fireside chat session. So this is brand new. It might all fall apart. So, hopefully everything will be fine. No dramas. Everything will be great. So if you're tuning in for the first time, you're probably wondering what TechExeter is. And TechExeter is a community that exists to champion the best in tech and digital across the greater Exeter area. We do this by running free meetups and events. In non-COVID times, we're running these physically. Doing lots of outreach activities where we can, working with people like the Exeter City Council, Exeter College, University, the Met Office. We run an annual tech conference with amazing local and international speakers. And we are backed by some wonderful sponsors, I think. We've got Chris behind the scenes pushing buttons. He's going to find a sponsor slide. There we go. So, Landmark Information Group, Set Squared Exeter, Grey Matter, and Stephen Scone. Thank you for your support. We couldn't do this without you. I should also say that it's not just me running TechExeter. There's two other TechExeter leaders, Catherine and Jacob. Plus, we've also got a sister community, Digital Exeter, that's run by Philippa and Sarah. So I guess...
Over to me.
Over to you.
So me and Sarah and Chris, who's behind the camera, we run Digital Exeter. We're open to a wide variety of talents. We're very much focused on things like creative arts as well as digital industries. So everything from design, marketing, advertising to more specific things like UX design and PPC and more technical and digital areas. So we work alongside TechExeter, and we're very proud to be a sister community. And we just welcome everyone who's within digital and interested in digital in Exeter.
Yeah, so our community more techie, I guess, that's what we say. So software engineers, developers, data scientists, researchers, and then you handle basically everything else. So
yeah, everything that's not specific to tech is us.
And tonight we're joined by Alex and Colin from ATS Global. Thank you so much for joining us. I should explain that last month, was it, that Alex...
myself and Martin had you on our podcast, the Atlas podcast.
Yeah, and that was an amazing experience. So fun to do.
We aim to please.
Sadly, Martin can't be with us tonight.
Unfortunately, yeah, he's been caught. He's actually on a plane to Portugal as we speak.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right for some.
Yes. Yeah. Bit with nail and I. He's gone on holiday by accident.
Oh.
Yeah.
But instead, we've got the wonderful Colin.
Yeah,
We do indeed.
I'm having to stand in for Martin since he's run away.
Someone has to.
But it's a pleasure to be here today with you.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, can we have a little introduction about who you are and what ATS Global is? I guess we'll start with Alex first.
For sure, yeah. My name's Alex. I am actually the content writer for Atlas, which is ATS Global is our parent company, but we're a software development company started by ATS Global. So I'm, as a content writer, I just do all of the words that aren't coding. That's about it. So very intelligent people make things and then I sell them to people, basically.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And Colin?
I'm Colin. I've worked for ATS for about 13 years. Prior to that, I spent 21 years doing automation and process control. So in ATS, I've been a business analyst. I've done project management. And I'm and a bit of consultancy with Martin at some point in time in my life. And now I'm the smart manufacturing manager for a group of 10 people looking after various industry sectors that we deal with, which I can cover later if you like.
Yeah, we'll probably dip into a bit about that later. So we put you through our Mario Kart live course, which is just set up in the other studio.
You shouldn't laugh about that. I feel guilty already.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Yeah, so we'll reveal the results of that a little bit later on. Basically, we built a circuit in Studio One and made you basically drive around the virtual circuit and got your best lap times out of you.
I look forward, as I said earlier, to setting the bar low. Whoever your next guests are.
I think this will be an extended episode.
Yes.
Well, the good thing is because as you're our first guest, you'll be numbers 1 and 2 on the leaderboard. So.
Well, we know what the order is already, I think.
Glad to hear it.
So as a quick format point, this is basically just a fireside chat, so anything goes. Really. We've got some loose topics that we're going to talk around.
Good stuff.
If you, as the audience, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in YouTube, and we'll keep an eye on them, and we'll try and respond to them if we notice them and when we get around to them. But we've got a loose theme of access, which is linked to our conference coming up in September. So the keyword is basically access. So that's everything from actual accessibility issues, like so blindness, deafness, physical like attributes of accessibility, internationalization, but also things like security, diversity, education and training, so access into industry, equality, cloud computing, community, or anything that has a link back to access is basically game for our conference. So we thought we'd talk around some of those points tonight.
Okay.
And it's probably no secret that I'm a big gamer, and having made you do the Mario Kart stuff. But accessibility has come a long way in the gaming industry lately, and just thought I'd show people what this is. This is the Microsoft Adaptive Controller, which came out a couple of years ago. But it's a way for less abled gamers to just plug into their Xbox and be able to compete at the same level as everyone else. So by default, it comes with a D-pad and some 2 big buttons. But you can see, like along the edge is basically headphone jack inputs to like plug in for every other button. So you could like have cheek switches, you could have floor switches, everything else. Basically, anything that can plug into a 3.5mm jack can be an input, and then you can control your games through this device. And there has to be like no modifications done by the game itself because it's all mapped on the device.
Mm-hmm. It's an incredible piece of kit. It's not something I've ever seen before, but yeah, it's
Even to like just get an edge yourself, because like there are some games which like require you to like hold down like 3 buttons on this hand and like also aim on the other one. It's like if you're even for like able-bodied gamers, sometimes it's
can
really
be a bit tricky. Yeah,
I remember when first like motion controllers came out and stuff like that. You'd have to like hold down a button, aim with this one, but also be holding a trigger on this one, which is your pressure to like release the arrow or something in a game, and it's just incredibly difficult to do. So devices like this are hopefully making things a bit more accessible. So that's the sort of thing we're looking at the conference, like cool tech and digital things that are
enabling access.
Enabling access, yeah.
Have you had a go on it, Chris?
Yeah. Well, not only is it great for accessible gaming, but if you're like an artist and you want to like hook up random like bits or random sensors into your performance artwork or something, then you can just plug into here, and you can use a game engine like Unity to just read the joystick.
Yeah.
You don't have to like do any proper soldering of like making Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and doing weird input things. You can just like get a game controller and just read the input from that. So
fantastic stuff.
That's what I've been looking at anyway.
We've
got a flickering light going on.
It's gone.
Anything can happen.
Special effects.
Yeah. When we said fireside chat, we didn't want anything to actually catch fire.
As realistic as we
Quick
could
work,
get.
Chris.
Well done.
I guess you can observe from the previous moments that we had outside there with the Mario Kart, I'm not a gamer.
Yeah, we'll come on to that.
No doubt, for sure. You can mention it again later on.
Yeah, but yeah, I think a lot of industries now are just stepping up in terms of accessibility. So, like having live captioning available. So, unfortunately, we don't have any live captioning now on this Fireside chat. But if you're using the Chrome browser, Chrome has live transcribing built in, so you can be watching any video anywhere.
Yeah.
turn it on and get a live transcription. I thought that's pretty awesome.
That's incredible, yeah.
And I know like Pixel phones do that as well, so you can just put it on a table and like just start recording, just transcribe your conversation for you. And I think that's a pretty amazing
Yeah,
thing.
I think there are often technologies that people don't necessarily know about either. I mean, I didn't, but I do now.
So that's something we try and ask our presenters to do at the conferences. If you can use the live transcribe, live captioning features in your presentations, then it really, really helps. It doesn't work quite so well with the acronyms or the techie stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, tech is getting more accessible. I think I certainly come to it from something like that. I think they call it selfish altruism a little bit. I want access for everybody on the nice altruistic side, but also because I want the best stuff, you know? And the more people you have involved in it, the more people you have creating, the better it seems to get. So, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of like accessibility as well, quite often I'll watch TV in bed with the subtitles on without any audio because I don't know, because my partner's like reading in bed and she doesn't want to hear what's going on the TV. So it's not just a thing to help more people use the platform. It's an aid for everyone. Really.
It is indeed. Yeah.
In terms of like UX and stuff, I guess a lot of accessibility work is done.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's a number one priority more and more for a lot of companies. Sadly, it still seems to be an afterthought in terms of a lot of design work. I think that, companies are looking at it more and more. So I know that Google is potentially going to be doing accessibility as part of its algorithm, as well as UX in terms of just how usable is a platform. And that includes things like hierarchy and ARIA labels and just allowing someone to use a keyboard just to find their way around a website. It's amazing how many big brand websites we use every day, and actually, as someone who would suffer with accessibility issues, it probably would be unusable. So yeah, it's just a very interesting way, especially with like diversity and inclusivity becoming such a huge worldwide topic. I think that accessibility is something that we're all going to have as a pre-thought rather than an after. I know very much at the moment it's like, we'll put it in and we'll implement and then we'll try and think about it, and actually a lot of companies now have to think about how can we make it accessible and then design around that, because accessibility is more of a priority than what the UI looks like and is it on brand. And so it's definitely really interesting to see how big companies, I think especially, will approach accessibility and how much they care about it. I think is a big pointer for a brand.
Yeah, I guess I've seen some pretty horrible technical interfaces in terms of like the industry, like industry applications that you have to run. Have you seen anything ridiculous in your
Well, I was going to say that from some within industry, for instance, I think that there's a lot of legacy platforms that sit within industry. So the accessibility of information sometimes is a problem within those companies. So they're always striving to get information for improvements, etc. But a lot of the time that information is quite closed to them, or they're all disparate systems. And they're sometimes forced into that environment by vendors who supply to them, etc. So sometimes the motivation to get information and the accessibility of that and what that yields is because if you talk about gaming, it's pretty much feeding you with information and you're just dealing with it. Whereas in an industry perspective, if you're looking for some sort of improvements or analysis, sometimes that data is quite hard to get hold of and access that information. And really it becomes down to a strategic approach to define what you're trying to achieve before you try to achieve it. And, with what you're talking about with platforms that you're looking at, that doesn't really exist sometimes in industry, because that high-level view is not taken into account at the point you're, involving yourself in mass production or creating, a product, etc. So industry sometimes suffers a little bit from the fact that it misses the point when it comes to accessing information, because information is probably the driver that they're really after.
Yeah, I think that's where...
So I'm sorry I'm coming at a slightly different angle than you guys, but that's where I sort of come from as an individual.
It's part of that
Stuff.
UI, UX sort of like, from a user, I want to do this thing.
Yeah.
I need the information to be able to make the decisions and do the right thing. And if I don't have that, then I can't use this interface well.
Yeah. It would be sort of like creating a game without the real objective of what that game is,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. So then you'd punch things together, and then you might find that they're actually disjointed slightly or whatever. So they do suffer sometimes from that sort of desperate sort of situation.
Interesting.
I completely forgot, Alex. We should probably talk a little bit about the wonderful podcast.
Yes.
Skip past
You see,
it.
this leads on to this from an accessibility point of view from information.
Well, yeah, access to information. The Atlas podcast was started by Martin and I about 6 months ago. We were looking at doing webinars and things like that, and looking at quite traditional ways of communicating with people. And we just thought, why are we doing the normal for our industry? Why not do something a bit different? So we just bought a couple of microphones and started doing it. And the first episode's rough. I'd say if people check it out, let's get to number 2 straight away. Audio quality's a bit better. But yeah, we're lucky enough to have some really interesting people on. And because it's just something we wanted to do to try out, I guess, as a bit of a brand familiarity kind of thing. Again, giving people a window.
I think a lot of over COVID and over lockdown, a lot of companies have gone, oh, let's start a podcast.
Yeah.
But like yours is actually genuinely interesting.
Thank you so much. We appreciate every listener. But yeah, we got lucky. We had you guys on, which is it's been really interesting. We've had people like Steve Ferber, who's the guy who invented the ARM chip, which is in all of our phones and things like that. It's a fun Friday afternoon job to do when you don't want to do any of the actual work. So yeah, it's been good so far.
So we've had a couple of comments in. So Louisa, so the place we're in actually, I should have explained that as well. So yeah, tune into our second Fireside chat where we'll have all of this intro stuff smoothed out. But we're in a space called Collider Studio. So it used to be the old SpaceX building, and Collider took it over, cleaned it up a lot. It was in a bit of a state, and this is where I'm physically based. So it's a wonderful space, and we're happy to be part of the Collider family. There's no one really around at the moment, but people are starting to come back, so it will get busier over time. And we will start to run physical events here again, probably in the autumn, winter. So
Exciting
fingers
times.
crossed. Louisa also says she prefers the term enlightened self-interest to selfish or
That's much better. Yeah. Thank you. Words are my tool, but they do fail me sometimes. So
words are not my tool.
what was that? Sorry, enlightened.
Enlightened
I
self-interest.
like that a lot. Thank you. Yeah.
And as another thing I thought I would bring up is just I had another story that came in to TechExeter over the weekend. So we had a first-time speaker at our conference.
Okay.
So we run an annual conference every year. We've been doing it for like 7 years now, and we try and encourage people to speak if it's their first thing. So quite a lot of people aren't doing this sort of stuff in their day-to-day jobs,
Yeah.
doing interviews, and like presenting in front of a massive audience at a conference is really scary.
For sure. Yeah.
So we try and encourage,
there.
we try and encourage first-timers to give it a go. We've got a reasonably friendly audience, and we've got Tamsin Hodge, who's product manager at the UK Hydrographic Office. She came down and gave us a wonderful presentation in 2018. And earlier this year, a member of the audience reached out to her. He remembered the talk and said that he was inspired to go on to reflect in his studies, go into marine science and engineering.
Wow.
He reached out to Tamsin for some help and guidance to support his master's final year project. And he's gone on to land a graduate engineering position at the Accelerator Science and Technology Centre. And he's also looking to do STEM outreach work. So that's like an amazing like journey from presenting for the first time at a local conference,
Yeah.
and then your legacy of someone is watching it, and then goes on and is interested in your career path, and follows, and then carries on and gives back to the community at the end. So that's basically why we exist as.
Well, yeah, and coming back to the topic of access, I guess that's one of the great things that you guys do is giving people a window in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and being able to, and it's, meeting like-minded people in a pretty welcoming atmosphere as well. I think that's the important thing. That's the other thing about access.
It is quite a nice space in here. It's unfortunate people can't see this piece up here because there's a complete glass ceiling on us.
I'm sure there will be a full studio tour at some point. Yeah.
So yeah, we first met at one of the meetups, wasn't it? You and Martin were.
Martin came along to one of the meetups. I went to the video game one, which probably shows where my interests lie. But I know Martin and yourself met at one of the tech meetups, and he's been to a few. I think he may even have presented at one as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah, ATS definitely
Yeah.
do that. I remember the logo. If anything else.
Good. And obviously his scintillating presentation, whatever it may have been.
Oh man, I can't remember what he presented.
It's a shame Martin isn't here, but I'm under the impression at one point in time he did an open presentation in front of a group of people. The first thing he did was to do some juggling.
Oh.
I don't remember the juggling, so I don't think.
Well.
No, this may have been a different event, but he did take some oranges up apparently.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah,
Didn't know he was a juggler.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
So yeah.
I was going to say on the subject of kind of access and you saying about how us as a community kind of open ourselves to be accessible. It's an interesting point. So one of the things that we would like to do as a community, we're running a mentoring scheme at the moment. It's an 8 week?
Yeah.
Okay.
8 week mentoring scheme. But it just kind of goes back to, for me, access is very much about kind of having the resources for young people to be able to get into the industry, and us as resources within the industry. I mean,
Yeah.
I, when I came out of uni, I never really approached anyone, but recently someone's come to me and been like, I'd really like to get into UX, like where do I start? How do I start? And that was very different for me, because when I came out of uni, it was kind of, there was a real like secrecy about like portfolios and like don't show other people your portfolio unless they're like hiring you, and a whole bunch of stuff going on. But it's just really funny how the industries have changed and how startups especially have changed that kind of like expectation of qualification versus experience, and how we could be the resources that younger people need, and how we could be the access that they need into the industries, whether that's, oh my God, I made that mistake 10 years ago, don't do this. Like there's a lot of stuff that comes from that. I mean, one of the best pieces of experience that I got was the importance of being able to tell a story.
Yeah.
You know, your portfolio, when I first went and presented it, was very different to how I present it now.
Or how you would suggest someone.
Yeah,
presents
exactly.
It. Yeah.
And it's not because of the work that I'm presenting, but more about the person that I am that is presenting that piece of work. So how do you guys feel about kind of us being the resource within kind of digital and tech industries? And
Well, go on.
I was going to say that I think that within some companies and within ATS itself, there is a tendency towards doing like an apprenticeship scheme, etc. But sometimes that doesn't come to fruition because what you're after is skilled people, and it's a driven thing. But we do work with innovation companies, and there's a couple of companies that Martin's quite tied up with. And what they do, which I think is really nice, and it sort of sets a nice framework, is they go into universities and look at graduates, etc., and sort of introduce themselves and take those people into what you could classify as just innovation. Yeah, it's a really experienced, grounding point of view. So they learn stuff from that. And I think that sort of approach where you have an open view to education and bringing on of skill sets is something that a few companies perhaps lack from an industry perspective. You know what I mean? So I really quite admire that group of guys who do that, because they organise it in such a way where they do the mentoring, they look after them. They also then, look in the marketplace for skills, etc. Future jobs and stuff like that, which is a really nice entry point. And it's a shame other companies really don't take that on. And I'm not saying all companies don't, but I'm sure that there are some people who just pick a skill set and just run with it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So
it's
a bit of a sad indictment. But I think that is a reality as much as anything else. So in a way, after the sort of situation we're going through at the moment, I think there's probably a group of people who are coming out of university who will be, quite lost if they're not careful. People need to pick them up.
If they don't have that guiding hand.
I had an interesting conversation just yesterday, actually. So there's a new scheme at the University of Exeter. It's called iKeep, but it places students in business. So they go through a little training program on entrepreneurship and project management and stuff like that. And then they get placed with a company, and they basically work solidly for 4 weeks on a project part-time as a group of 3 students, and they basically take a company's back burner project or an idea or some market research, and they do that work for free. It's funded by the university. So if you're a company and you've got this project that you shelved ages ago and you just don't have the time to do, you could get these students working on it. Give them some real world experience. Of working in business, and then in exchange you get potentially research and development and potentially a prototype at the end of it.
Because I think that a group of us at work are going through a discussion about setting up an apprentice type scheme and stuff like that. And I think when you do that sort of thing, you can't really pigeonhole an individual when they arrive. You've got to give them that scope to be able to say what sort of things do you fit into, and organising that sort of thing takes time out of people's daily lives. But it's a commitment which is in essence what we need for the future, from an employment perspective, I guess, and from a skills perspective.
That's another interesting point. Did I cut you?
No, I was just going to say it's really interesting to think that, sometimes it's not always about the experience that someone brings, but sometimes just the fresh perspective and ideas that someone who's, straight out of uni can see that everyone else that has been working on a project or has just become blinkered to something has forgotten. And sometimes it is not about, how many pieces have you got in your CV, or where have you worked, or how many years have you been doing it for. It's about what can you bring to the table that no one else can see.
It's that fresh set of eyes.
And that sometimes is invaluable, and so many people forget that. So it's interesting to think how we're going to shift things. Hopefully the pandemic has taught us a lot.
I hope so,
I was going to say that because of the pandemic, everyone's remote working, and there's a massive digital skills shortage. So what we're finding now is that there are these jobs that are just there waiting for people to take. But if you're traditionally, I guess, Southwest companies used to pay less than their counterparts. Even the difference between Exeter and Bristol is quite marked. But now everyone's working remote. You don't have the same thing now, because it's the same job. People will go for the job in Bristol, which is paying more, if you're doing the same thing. So
of course
the market share of the talent is going to the places that can afford to pay the higher wages. Places like places in the Southwest, I think, are a bit disadvantaged by the remote working sort of movement, which is a bit of a shame. But then you have to ask, I guess, why can't we pay them more?
I do wonder if creativity has sort of died slightly because of home working arrangements. Because I can remember sitting in an office with, say, 5 or 6 people, brainstorming stuff out, open discussions and that sort of thing, whiteboarding ideas, putting things down. Whereas that's a difficult thing to do in an online environment. So I'm quite looking forward to getting back, because if I do a presentation of any sort, the first thing I pick up is a whiteboard marker, and I start drawing things out, because I think that sort of expression is a really nice presentational method where you just openly putting things out. I think where people come into a work environment where there's, it's all digitized, they're going to lose that sort of open expression where they can just throw ideas out and get comment back and feedback. So I'm quite looking forward to getting back into a more of a working environment with people, to be honest with you. It's one of the things I really miss.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I've sat in on some student projects and just in like a group Zoom, and it just doesn't feel...
It doesn't have that tangible...
Same, yeah.
Secretly, what I did, we used Teams at work as a platform. What I did is I took a picture of myself sitting at my chair, and then you can have the backdrop, and I sat in the same position and kept quite still, and then moved out the way to see if anybody noticed it was a picture, and then came back in again. But yeah, I find it slightly disruptive in a way. That environment, and I'm sorry to say that, but
no, it's good.
We were talking about this the other day. We were talking about kind of how remote. Although we're not around an audience, you're far more aware of yourself when there's just one of you in a little Zoom window. Like, I'm far more aware. Whereas, it's easier, like when you're presenting, we were talking about, things going wrong. Whereas in front of a live audience, you can play that off with humor, or you can just kind of rearrange yourself and get it back together. On video, when you can't gauge someone's reaction, it's far harder to try and the
emotion of anybody's conversation is completely lost, and their body language is pretty much hidden and stuff like that. And I think it's just a strange environment to be in, and it's I hope it doesn't carry on in that way.
Well,
everybody's using things
hybrid.
like
there's positives to be taken and negatives, but for sure, I tell you because this is my first proper full-time working from home position with Atlas, and I'm in a one-bedroom apartment with my girlfriend, and she was in the room when I had my first meeting, and I didn't realise that everybody's microphone was on mute, as tradition. I made a joke. I've never felt more awkward in my life, because although apparently people were laughing, there was, you don't have that auditory
tumbleweed
response.
silence.
You go, okay, oh God, I've just met these people, and now I look like an absolute... So there's positives and negatives, and I certainly miss the pastries. I haven't had a meeting with pastries in a long time.
There you go.
I do find that if you're recording content for a conference and it's pre-recorded, sometimes you think, okay, that's fine, I can make as many mistakes as I want and just edit it later. But then you end up being really perfectionist and after every stumble of a word, you basically just re-record it again, and it just takes forever. Whereas if you're just doing it live, you just get on with it.
Yeah, you move straight past. I had to record a little 20-second insert for the podcast today. That took about 5 minutes for sure, because every time you get 4 words in, no, stop, start again. You can hear your own voice, start again. But
that's why this is going out live.
Oh, we're live.
I was just thinking, because we had to do some user guides, we'll say. So we've got to interpret what a solution is, and then say this is how the solution is. And usually that's done in written text, but what we decided to do was actually video everything and say this is what you do, these are the steps you go through, and talk over the whole process. So that if someone wanted to see what that was, they could review it. Unfortunately, every time we got through it, about 10 seconds before the end, someone said something inappropriate,
of course,
or they pushed the wrong button and it didn't quite work, and they had to go back. So we spent hours creating stuff that would have taken a short period of time had we been sat next to someone and spoken to them about it.
For sure.
So I think those sort of virtual environments have a place, but for me, getting together with people is really key to accessing, we'll say, people's thoughts properly and discussing them properly.
Good stuff.
Sorry about that.
Well,
I'm getting emotional now.
Excellent.
Well, I've got my first vaccination on Friday.
Have you?
So
well done.
raring to go for that.
Nice.
Okay.
I just slipped in and I'm 34. I know they're doing the 35s.
Oh, no.
Yeah, close.
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. You're just in the 35 bracket.
Yeah. Mine's pending last week. But what I wanted to know was, how did we access the wine? Because I can notice that on this side of the table, there's wine, you see, and wine glasses.
Oh, there was.
Chris is empty.
There
I
is.
know.
Wow.
Chris is empty already. And yet we haven't managed to access the wine, which is upsetting to a degree.
Window.
Well, I gave you a treat in your coffee instead.
Yeah. Do we need to mention that?
No.
That'll be some behind the scenes footage. We can come back to.
There's evidence.
Yeah,
Exclusive Instagram content.
good stuff.
We'll see if anybody asks, right?
Yeah,
What was-
yeah.
what
If,
the
there
coffee
is,
sample
if there's
was.
a question that comes in.
I'll keep an eye on it. Well, yeah, I think that was some interesting chat, some interesting points. Yeah, I guess we can't really not talk about COVID, so we did that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It was always going to come up.
It's always, yeah.
I just miss people.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be back to running physical events like autumn, winter time.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
I'm looking forward to attending some.
Yes. So I think without further ado, we should look at your Mario Kart laps.
Did you have any other comments that turned up at all?
Not at the moment.
I
no.
want the coffee comment. Please ask about the coffee.
You've got 15 minutes.
Yeah. we can look at your Mario Kart lap and then
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
Let's do
and
it.
see what's going
Yeah.
on. So
You're doing the longest one first.
well,
Well, we're going to
we-
find
That
out.
will be
I
mine.
think,
We're
I
gonna
think we're
find
going to
out.
do your lap first because you went first.
Oh.
So.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, Mario Kart Live is you have a little Mario Kart physical kart, and basically you go
Should I go
grab it.
get
Yes, go grab
Nip
it.
and grab it.
And you basically drive it around augmented reality style in your own home, office, workspace,
Yeah.
wherever. Places with nice wooden floors. It doesn't work so well on carpets, to be fair.
Well, it's different terrain.
Different terrain, yeah.
What sort of range does that have then?
Not far, maybe 5 meters.
Okay.
Here he is,
Here's the
star
car.
of the show.
That's not me in it.
No, we didn't shrink people down to fit inside, but just like Bluetooth controlled, it's got a little camera on the top, and you'll see in a second, and it's pretty fun. So we asked you both to do a series of laps and to record your best score,
Yeah.
fastest time, a la Top Gear,
Classic. Yeah.
stolen format point.
So you can put my label straight to the bottom.
We are
Have a bit of faith, Colin. Have a bit of faith. Come on.
Okay.
we're right up to date with our references. We're going for Top Gear like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
golden years of Top Gear. Really. So this
Here we
is
go.
your footage. Oh,
This is who?
This is you, Cole.
Is
you,
it?
Colin. Yeah.
Is it?
This is your
I
fastest
must buy a
lap.
hat like that.
Have we got any audio?
Oh, you're not hearing me screaming, eh?
Let me just turn the audio on.
You broke the light speed barrier there.
Oh,
Is this on the tape? We got stuck on the tape.
Yeah, it's on the
Oh,
tape.
no.
Who put that tape there?
Yeah.
Stuck on the tape.
Oops. Just mute YouTube.
I reckon you've slowed this down.
Even though, like, the impression of speed you get, and the car's actually only going like that.
But it does, I swear, like, if you get a boost, the
Oh.
car does, like, speed up.
It does. It
Yeah.
does, definitely.
You
Pretty
had some.
impressive.
This is my best lap.
It was 3 of them.
Oh, it's all three.
All three.
Oh, I thought it was just going to be one.
It's incredible
No, it
stuff.
was 3 of them.
Where's
the
oh,
tape?
where's in the tape? Yeah. Oh,
I will say, Colin, you did struggle with the tape slightly,
I did.
but
I've got a tape thing.
you do. Yeah.
This is your final lap. I think this is your
I
fastest
think
one.
this is really where all that training came into.
Yep. I'm taking it a bit tight now. I want to see Philippa do this.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm very
Oh,
useless
oh,
at
oh,
driving.
oh,
Missed the
He
tape.
lands it. Hat off.
Oh,
Is this straight into me?
oh, no, yeah. So then this is straight into Alex.
Okay. Okay, let's see what happens.
Time's up.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good so far.
This is, I think, the trickiest corner because you're going straight into gate 3 there. Gate 3, gate 4's coming up. I went for an innovative technique.
Were you thinking about the airport? You were like, I'm on holiday, I'm going to get to the airport.
Copying me now, aren't you, on the tape front?
It looked like you can actually see my hand come in there. Get myself. Oh, there he goes.
I should put it sticky side on the outside
Yeah.
this time.
You know what? The challenge is what excited me about it. So, gate 3. There we are. The wet floor sign.
I'm sad already.
It looks pretty fast. I'm going to lie.
I think lap 2 might have been my best, but we're going to find out.
Oh,
We will find out.
I hope I don't drive like this on the way home.
Fingers crossed. I have high hopes.
Right, here we are.
No
Last
tape.
corner.
Oh,
Nope.
this is the ladder.
You lose.
Can I give myself a round of applause?
I think well done for completing the course.
Thank you.
What happened?
I have no idea. I drew a blank.
So you both did 3 laps.
Yeah.
You've recorded your fastest time. So we'll reveal the first set of results.
Sad face.
Here we go.
So Colin, your fastest lap was 23
Minutes.
23 seconds.
Oh,
0.165.
really? That accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is technology. Alex, would you think you came higher or lower?
But you know what? The arrogance me would say perhaps slightly quick. I'll give myself 23.164.
23,164.
23.164.
You think you're that fast?
Well, actually, you were quite a bit faster.
I've broken the 20 barrier.
Yeah,
Okay.
broken the 20 barrier. So
19.665.
That's a good year.
I thought it was.
I'm in the future somewhere.
So you are our first ever leader on our leaderboard.
And I'm in second place or
Second
last.
place.
Second place. We'll call it second
Second place. Yeah, you're on the podium.
And as I said before, it was wet outside. I was on the W again.
Worth remembering.
Oh dear.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That was really exciting.
Can I have another go?
I think that's what we're going to. Well, you've got to drive.
He's got a short
Let's
drive.
maybe do a couple of laps and then you can head off.
We do need to get the stick round and get a time lap from there.
Oh, yeah.
Who is the professional Mario Kart live player? You need them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
who
we
knows?
do.
If anyone wants to come to the studio and be the stick, then
Positions open.
positions open. Write your name in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having
It's
us.
been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's
Hopefully,
nice to meet you guys.
It's very nice to meet you too.
thank you for standing in last minute as well.
It's all right. I hope I had some reasonable, statements, but it was enjoyable doing.
And hopefully we'll get you along to some of our bigger physical events in the future.
Really looking forward to it.
Would there be wine there?
There will be
Fingers crossed.
wine, free wine, free beer, free food.
Looking forward to it.
Well, no, we won't go into the.
I think our most attended events have been ones where there's free food. So
Yes.
we will definitely
Okay.
be doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
yeah.
you for inviting us along there.
It's been very nice.
an
It's been a
interesting
pleasure to
session.
have you.
Big thanks once again to our sponsors, Landmark Information Group, Set Squared, Grey Matter and Stephen Scone, who have kindly supported us throughout the year. If you want to find out more about TechExeter, you can go to techexeter.uk. We're on Twitter at TechExeter and Instagram TechExeter. ATS has a few different Twitter handles, doesn't it?
Yeah, for us, we are atlas.com is the best place to go. Yeah, you can find everything, the podcast, all of our social medias. Start there. ATS Global,
Website?
that's the one. Is it ATS-Global or
It is hyphen.
ATS-Global.com, where you'll find fascinating stuff. You might even find some bits of writing that I've done on either of those websites. You never know.
Excellent. We'll tweet out some links and put up some resources about that later.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, that's it for tonight. We'll probably do some more of these because they're quite fun.
I like
And yeah, we'd like to obviously have you back again next year to see if you can improve on your times.
I can't do worse, for sure.
I can.
Glad to hear it.
Also, a big shout out to Kris behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons,
He's been hiding.
turning off the flickering lights.
Well, turning on the flickering lights and then solving the problem. Very dynamic.
Any last words, Philippa?
No, good night. Enjoy the pubs that are now open.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Reserve your restaurant tables.
Yeah.
Really off to the pub.
Excellent. Right. Take care, everyone. See you
Bye.
later.
Shall we see?